It's really important, guys, when you're in the modern age of sustainability, if you're coming out to catch or feed a fish, you really take good care of your fish. If you don't have a kill bag like this one, you can get some really good ice boxes. They're poly-moulded or fiberglass, or you can even use your livey tank. Put a few bags of ice in with a bit of salt water, get a nice slurry, keep your fish cool all day, they'll be fresh for the table at night time. G'day everyone, we've just finished up out on the water this morning. We've kept a nice feeder snapper. We only kept enough for our immediate purposes. We've kept the fish on ice in a nice slurry. They're nice and firm. If you ever have a bend in your snapper, or any fish for that matter, particularly mackerel, try not to straighten them out, try to fillet them as they are. But we kept these fish nice and flat, beautifully straight in the ice. So I'll just run you through how I knock the fillets off a snapper. Everyone does them differently, but this is just the way I do it. When I like to fillet snapper, I don't choose your traditional filleting knife. I prefer two boning knives, the 16 and the 20 centimetre boning knives. First incision I put in is just behind the pectoral fin and round behind the snapper's forehead. And I come in from the tail end, make an incision just in front of the tail, and then start to bring the blade forward along the rib bones on this side. These knives are very handy, and it's the reason why I don't choose a traditional filleting knife, is because the scales on the snapper are quite thick and they're almost heavy to cut through, whereas this knife makes very light work of this incision. Sort of part the fillet with your thumb, being very careful of your fingers. Just run the blade along the bones like so, until you hit those rib bones and until you hit the backbone. Come from the tail. These fish have been on ice all morning in a little ice slurry in our cooler bag, and they're beautiful and firm at the moment. If you don't keep your fish on ice from immediately after capture, these fish will be soft. The fish is very soft. The fish bend. They're extremely difficult to fillet. Nowhere near as good to eat. Now, at this stage of the filleting process, I like to turn the fish over and repeat on the other side. And the reason I do this is if we take that fillet off, then the fish seems to, the fish will fall into where that fillet's come off, and you'll get a bend, and it just makes it a little bit awkward to fillet. As if you turn the fish over while the fillet's still on, then you have a nice level fillet on the other side. Beautiful sharp knives. You can never have your knives too sharp. The sharper the knife is, the safer it is to use. The Victorinox knives are the preferred knives in the professional industry, butchers, chefs, and we love using them for, we're only recreational fishers, borderline weekend warriors, but we love these knives. They get the best results when you're filleting your fish, and you get the best outcomes on the dinner table. The Swibo range of blades are all stainless steel. They're corrosion resistant, and the handle are ergonomic handles. They're very comfortable to hold. You can fillet a few fish. They don't slip out of your hand at all. They're really grippy, genuinely nice knife to hold. So we've taken the first fillet off, we've flipped the fish back over. We're just making the final few incisions in the fillet just to keep it nice and tidy before we run the blade through the bones. Very carefully, obviously. The sharp knife just trims through those bones, so reduce the risk of slippage. Cut down through that gut cavity. There's our fillets. Very little flesh or meat left on the bones. You can actually cut these wings off the snapper. They're beautiful. If you knock the scales off, bake the wings in a bit of garlic and butter. You can take these frames and even the whole head and boil them for stock, for soups and what have you, if you want to maximise the usage out of your fish. Now I'm just going to trim out the rib cavities. Now that we've taken the ribs out and we've filleted the fish, I like to knock the skin off. We use a 20 centimetre boning knife. It's a long semi-flexy blade. When skinning your snapper, start from the tail end. Make an incision 5–10 mil up from the tail, grab the skin and drag the fillet towards it. Beautifully skinned filleted snapper, virtually deboned, ready for the table. You can also trim the bones out of the middle, the remaining rib bones. They're pretty well either side of the bloodline on the back side of the fish. And that there is a boneless fillet of skin snapper. You'll notice during the course of filleting this fish, not once have I rinsed the fillets with fresh water. It's a common mistake by fishers to, as soon as they've knocked the fillets off a fish, to dunk them in fresh water. It actually softens the meat, makes them harder to work with, and they're nowhere near as good on the dinner table. So if you can, avoid washing your fillets with fresh water. If you have kept some salt water in your livey tank, you can put the fillets in some seawater, in some ice, so make a genuine slurry in the seawater, sit the fillets in for 10 minutes or so, and those fillets will firm up, they'll draw in some of the seawater, and they eat magnificently with that bit of ice slurry. We don't have that with us today, but we've not rinsed the fillets with fresh water. That's really important. Just finished filleting this fish. We've only used 2 of the 50 of the Swibo range. There's a lot of versatile blades. They're corrosion resistant, excellent handles, and they're dishwasher safe. You can't stress enough the importance of caring for your catch and what you plan to take home and feed to yourself and to your family. And this is a public cleaning facility that we've used here, so it's really important. We gave it a quick wash before we put our fish onto the bench to make sure it was ready for us to prepare fish we're going to eat. It's equally important to clean the bench down, leave it spotless when you go for the next person to come and enjoy cleaning their fish.